One of those categories that the ACT will try to test your knowledge on is called agreement. Agreement just means that subject and verb agree in number. So a singular subject has a singular verb. A couple of examples. He walks to school. He is singular and walks is singular. So we would do this intuitively. Nobody would say he walk to school unless you're not a native English speaker. So part of the grammar that just gets formed in your head is agreement. They walk to school. They and walk are both plural. Not too difficult. However, that's not what they'll test you on. The ACT will assume that you know that level of agreement. What they're going to test you on has more to do with something like this, indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronouns are pronouns that name a non-specific thing or person. They're indefinite. We have a lot of indefinite pronouns. Here's a few. Each, someone, both, and all. Those are all indefinite. And some of these we know automatically. We do it without having to think about it. We know that when we say both, that it's going to be plural. We'll use a plural verb. But there are a number of these indefinite pronouns that we tend to mix up, especially in a complex sentence where maybe it's acting as a subject and the verb doesn't happen until later on in the sentence, and there's all kinds of other stuff in between, and so that can confuse us. What the ACT will test is your ability to identify that verb and then trace it all the way back to its subject. And then you'll be able to tell, well, this is a singular subject, so now I know which verb I need to pick. So we're going to practice that a little bit. One thing I do with my kids in high school is and you can do this right now if you think this would be helpful. If you want to just watch me go through this, you can do that too. I'm going to talk through it. I have them put 3 columns on their paper. And then we go through and I'll introduce one at a time, I don't know, maybe 20 different indefinite pronouns, and we think about what those pronouns mean, what they would actually do in a sentence. And when we do that, when we keep it very simple and focused, it's not too difficult to see whether or not a pronoun is indefinite, or I'm sorry, whether or not a pronoun is singular or plural. When we use them in a sentence, we tend to mix it up just according to how it fits in our ear. Alright, so let's do that. Let's walk a few of these. So we're going to add these indefinite pronouns to the 3 columns and just think about the number of each, whether it's singular or plural. Anybody. Okay, now there's a help here that we can do a little trick. This is made up of 2 words, right? It's a compound word, any and body. The word body we know is singular. It doesn't say bodies, it's just one, it's singular. So body, or anybody, is a singular indefinite pronoun. Anybody is, anybody goes, anybody has. It's going to take a singular verb however we use it. That one's not too difficult. But anything. Well, maybe the same logic applies here. The word thing is singular. Anything goes, anything is, anything, we wouldn't say anything are, right? Are is plural. Now, let's back up a little bit. If you're not sure if the word is singular or plural, or if the word are is singular or plural, you can always plug something in right in front of it that you know is singular. My dog is. Not too difficult. You know dog is singular, so you know it has to have an is, therefore is is singular. What about anyone? Well, if anybody is singular and anything is singular, then anyone is also singular. In fact, all of the pronouns that begin with the word any are singular. What about the word few? Well, think about how you use it. Few always represents, I don't know, 3, 4. I don't know if there's an official definition of what few means, but it's always plural. It's always more than one. So few is plural. About each. Each is the one that tends to trip people up more than anything else. If you think about what each does, each singles out things. So if you're looking at a group, if I'm looking at my classroom, and I say each of my students brought his or her book. Each brings, right? That's singular. It makes it individual so that this boy brought his book, this girl brought her book, each brought his or her book. Each is always singular, but oftentimes each is paired up with something plural, so that something plural tends to throw us off. Each of the girls are dressed in white. That might sound okay, but what I said was each of the girls are dressed in white. That's wrong. Each of the girls is dressed in white. Let's get rid of the girls, and you can hear it. Each is dressed in white. Each is singular. What about both? Right? It's automatically two. That one's not too hard. That one's plural. What about none? Well, we have this third option that I sort of glossed over in the previous slide. You may have noticed it. There's a third option which it depends on what it's referring to. So if none is referring to something plural, then it takes a plural verb. If it's referring to something singular, it takes a singular verb. We can do the food test on this. I like to use the pizza test. Pizza can be singular or it can be plural, pizzas, and we can eat some pizza or we can eat many pizzas, right? So this test will work. And if it can go both ways, then you know that this just depends on what it refers to. None of the pizzas were eaten. Plural. It does work as a plural. None of the pizza was eaten. Works as a singular also. This one depends on what it refers to, so it would go into that third column. Now, jump back to the word both. Try that with both. It doesn't work. Both of the pizzas were eaten. Plural works fine, and this is in our plural column. But try it singularly and it doesn't work. Both of the pizza was eaten. That doesn't make any sense because it doesn't ever work as a singular pronoun. Okay, so we've got three categories now: singular, plural, and depends on what it refers to. Some. Some sounds like it could be plural. I don't know, just kind of a knee-jerk response. But let's try the pizza test. Some of the pizza was eaten. And it works as a singular. Some of the pizzas were eaten. It works as a plural also. This one depends on what it refers to. Those little dashes mean these words like body, thing, and anyone. So something, somebody, someone. Well, our logic seemed to work for any, so it should work here too. Right? Something is. Someone is. Somebody is. It all works as plural. Something are. Or I'm sorry, it all works as singular. If we try to make it work as plural, it doesn't. So this is a singular pronoun. What about most? Most of the pizza was eaten. Most of the pizzas were eaten. That depends on what it refers to. It's in the third column. What about neither? This one's a little tricky. Neither and either. Neither, neither, either, either. This one's singular because what it's saying is it's doing something similar to what each does. It separates things out. It says that this one doesn't and neither does this one. It's not joining them together into a plural thing. It's treating them as separate things. Several. To me, several and few are sort of synonymous. Like they always mean something plural. So that one's intuitive. What about any? Let's try the food test. Any of the pizza. Was any of the pizza eaten? Were any of the pizzas eaten? Works in both situations. What about more? More of the pizza was eaten. More of the pizzas were eaten. Works in both. That's a depends. Third column. Many of the pizzas were eaten. Many of the pizza was eaten. Nope, that one only works as a plural. One. I don't think we need to go any further, right? One is automatically singular. That's what it means. Singular. All of the pizza was eaten. All of the pizzas were eaten. That one works in both. Notice what I'm doing here. Either the pronoun is sort of obviously singular or plural, or we can't really tell. And in the case that we can't tell, I'm just running the pizza test on it. In some cases, it does work for both, in which case it's a depends item. And in some cases, it's either singular or plural. We kind of figure it out by running that test. So some of these things are going to be intuitive and obvious. Others you got to really think about. Everything, everyone, everybody. Those are all singular, just like the other forms. Either, it's just like neither, and that should be in the singular column because it's saying either this one or this one, not both together. Last one, nobody, nothing, no one. Same idea there. Those are singular. Okay, so those are the indefinite pronouns. They do those three things. Subjects joined by or nor take a singular verb. So here's an example. Either Jack or Jill has fallen. Not have fallen. Only one has fallen, not both. So this is similar to what I said with the either pronoun. It can act as a pronoun. In this case, it's acting as a conjunction. But it's the same idea. It's still separating the two out. So Jack, Jill, if they're joined by an or, it's just one of them at a time. So those are singular. So the verb needs to be singular. You put a conjunction like and between it, and you're joining them together. Then it turns into something plural. Here's a weird rule. You may never run into this again, but I threw it in anyway. I think it's interesting. When singular and plural subjects are joined by or nor, look at the one that is nearer the verb. This is a weird rule because there is no rule to really cover this situation logically, so it's sort of a compromise rule. We don't have a verb form, or we have a singular and a plural verb. We don't have any other form that would cover this situation because you have both singular and plural, but it's not both of them together. It's either one. See how it's kind of weird. So we take whichever one is closer to the verb, and that determines the number, whether it's singular or plural. Either Jack or his cousins have fallen. It's have in that case because cousins is plural. Either his cousins or Jack has fallen. Jack is singular, therefore we use has instead of have. You'll never see that on the ACT, but who knows, you might run into a situation where you need to write this. Okay, one more slide here. Collective nouns, those are a little bit tricky. A collective noun may be singular or plural depending on how it's being used. Take the collective. A collective noun is just a noun that names a group. A lot of animal group names are collective nouns. Flock, herd. I'm running out of animal names. Sorry, I'm drawing blanks. Band. There's a collective noun. The band is performing. It's acting as a unit, as one thing. So we have band and is, a singular. So both of those are singular in that case. But the same word, band, depending on how it's used in the sentence, could be a plural. The band are putting on their uniforms. Now I'm kind of treating the band, instead of as an it, as a one thing, I'm treating it like a they. They are putting on their uniforms. It is performing. See, in one case it's singular, one case it's plural. It can be a little bit tricky because sometimes it's hard to see real clearly whether or not it's a group thing or an individual thing. In this case, I tried to pick out a fairly obvious example to show you. So beware of collective nouns. They can go either way in terms of number. An expression of amount, for example. That's what e.g. means, for example. Measurement, percentage, fractions. May be singular or plural, again, depending on its use. 100 bricks is a heavy load. So we have 100 bricks, but it's acting as one unit. 100 bricks are scattered over the yard. It's just a simple plural. There are many bricks over the yard. They're individually scattered. Okay, that's it for agreement. Hopefully this added a little bit to what the book gave you. That's it. Have a great day. Thanks.